All right, guys, just a short video today. Straight content for you. Laryngitis still going on. We're gonna work through it. Apologize for the muffled sound. So, topic today: how short guys can attract women. Now, height has, for being honest here, always been an advantage when it comes to women. Women have always cared about height, but since online dating's occurred, like a lot of superficial stuff, it's become amplified more. And so you've seen this phenomenon of guys who are not 6 feet tall have a much harder time online, to the extent that even just the psychological impact of 5'11" to 6 foot, which is frankly meaningless, having a big psychological impact in women, because all of these women, if they're shopping on the market, they want to get the tallest guy that they can get. And of course, the reasons for this are pretty apparent. Um, Taller guys make women feel smaller, and women like to feel small next to a man because it's a reflection physically of the polarity that's taking place. Now, does that mean that short guys can't get women? And by the way, if you're over 5'6", you are not short. All right, I just want to say that. Just want to put it out there, because a lot of guys feel like if they're not 6 foot, you know, they're not tall, and that's like saying if you have a 6-inch dick, you've got a tiny dick, which is not true and actually above average. So the deal with shortness and what can shorter guys do, and we're talking, 5'6" and under, let's say, which is not even really short if you're 5'6" or 5'5". But, let's just say, for the sake of argument, if you're a shorter guy, what can you do to attract women? So I talk about in my book, and by the way, guys, if you want to get my book, it's free. You can buy it on Amazon if you want to get it on Kindle. And obviously, I appreciate that. 3 Pillars of Attraction. You should also get my texting book, Tackling Texting, also on Amazon. But you can get a PDF of my book, The 3 Pillars of Attraction. All you have to do is sign up for my email list. I send out new content 3 times a week, the best of my old emails 1 time a week. It's really worthwhile. But in that book, I talk about the 3 Pillars of Attraction, obviously, and the two ones, pre-selection and persona. Pre-selection being the sort of front-running things, right? Like your looks, which height would be a part of, assets you may have, wealth, etc. And your persona, which is more like your game, your ability to maneuver in social situations and present yourself positively, read the room, etc. So if you're a shorter guy, well, there's actually a tried and true method for attracting women. You know what that is? What people have called the Napoleon Complex. And here's the reason why. So the Napoleon Complex is this very aggressive way of operating. So if you're a shorter guy, you're loud, you're very assertive, very aggressive. A lot of people make fun of this. They were making fun of Napoleon, who also, by the way, wasn't short for his time, but they were making fun of him, that he was a warmonger. Oh, yeah, he's short, You get this kind of crap today, too. But the reality is that if you're a shorter guy, it behooves you to be more assertive and to be more, to be louder, and to the extent, of game with women, to be much more cocky, right? So if you have, back from the David D'Angelo days of game advice, you had cocky funny. If you're a tall guy, you don't need to be as cocky, because if you're a tall guy, essentially you already have a lot of this built-in pre-selection, and it might even be better to be somewhat complimentary. I mean, there's a lot of different variables that come into it, but the point is, you don't need as much overt aggressive game when you're taller or you're handsome. If you're shorter, if you're less attractive, then you really want to be cocky and you really want to be assertive. And because you have to throw a woman off, a woman's going to look at you and she's like, oh, you're 5'3". I'm going to take you seriously. And then, you drop maybe a couple of negs, you mess with her, you tell her to go get something for you. She's just absolutely not going to expect that. And she's going to be like, who does this like shorter guy think he is talking to me this way? But when you've done that, you've created intrigue, right? So you have to basically be more of an asshole if you're a shorter guy. Aside from this, it obviously helps to supplement your lower height pre-selection other ways, right? And so that's making money, being successful, that matters more, much more for a shorter guy. And having lots of friends, being socially influential, that matters a lot. And of course, going to the gym, put on as much muscle as you can, because if you can come across as, a strong, guy, even if you are shorter, that can also help to make a woman feel, like she's small compared to you. Even if she happens to be taller, if you're way stronger than her, you kind of get some of the effect. But fundamentally, as a rule, when your pre-selection's down, you want to try to compensate as you can otherwise with your pre-selection. But fundamentally, you need to have a more aggressive persona. And I'm going to give you a counter example of this so you can really understand it. If you were Brad Pitt in the 90s, as my favorite example, because everybody, if you're a guy, you don't, it's not a gay statement. If you're a guy and you didn't think that Brad Pitt in the 90s is ridiculously handsome, then I don't know, you're just not, you're just, it doesn't mean you have to like him, but you have to acknowledge that this is a handsome man. This is like the archetypal handsome man, right? Okay. So if you're Brad Pitt in the 90s and you go up and talk to a woman, you've got, you got great hair, handsome face, you're tall, you got a chiseled body, and you act like an asshole to a woman. Well, what the fuck? It's not going to help your chances of picking her up, especially when you're famous too, right? If Brad Pitt, the actor in the 90s who goes and approaches a woman, he is going to charm a woman by being complimentary to her and, saying, hey, let's go, inviting her out to dinner. Sex is implicit, right? Obviously, he has to move the interaction forward. But the point is, he actually gets in his own way if he acts like an asshole, because then he makes the woman feel worse about herself. There's already such a value disparity between him and the woman that him acting like an asshole only widens that disparity and it lowers her self-esteem. He actually has to bridge the gap a bit. He has to make her feel special. He has to kind of seduce her a bit so that she feels comfortable enough, so she doesn't feel cheap enough, so she feels valued enough to actually go forward with him. If you're Danny DeVito, doesn't matter whether the 90s or today, right? That's not going to work. It's not going to work. Even Danny DeVito being famous, and fame is the most powerful pre-selection, it's probably not going to work that much. Maybe a little bit. That's how powerful fame is. But if you took a guy who looked like Danny DeVito who wasn't rich and famous, then that guy is going to have to be a super asshole to the woman, really throw her off. And then, of course, understanding other attraction triggers. It doesn't mean just being an asshole the entire time. You're going to want to sprinkle in compliments. You're going to want to start to build comfort. But you got to really throw a woman off. And you almost got to like do this pull back and forth with her where you create a negative impression on her. And then you pull back and give a positive. And so she's confused and doesn't know what to think of you. That's how those kind of guys do it. Okay. So you don't have to go that aggressive if you're a shorter guy, but I've known, there's one guy I knew. He was not particularly tall, but he was a bodybuilder and he was very warm and friendly, but very, very assertive, very, very kind of like alpha male forcefulness. You had a gorgeous girlfriend, absolutely gorgeous girlfriend. So I don't like to hear this shit like, oh, I'm a short guy. Women aren't going to like me. Well, hit the gym, make money, but most importantly, learn game. And if you want help learning game, you have two options. You have the master class, which is 18 plus hours, going to be updated again this fall, of material that'll teach you all the stuff that I know, most of it at least. Not all the stuff, most of the stuff, because I keep getting more and more. But it's the encyclopedia. And so you get the master class, and the links are, by the way, in the description. You get the master class, and that's fully deducted from the next way you could do it, which is working with me directly one-on-one, where I show you how to apply the master class to your life. So you can get the material on its own if that's what you prefer. And you do get some access to me from that, but full experience coaching. The links are in the description, okay, to the masterclass and to coaching. If you want to apply to work with me, www.patstedman.com/application. Anyway, guys, it was great talking, and I will see you next time.